Well, it's Monday after another dreadful Raider loss. A game which Gardner Minshew suffered a collarbone break. It's one of the weakest bones on the body. And his broke. All day yesterday, he held on to the ball too long. He doesn't have a strong enough arm to compensate. In certain situations, when he threw that interception, for example, the receiver was wide open. He just pitched it right to the defensive back. But Raider fans are happy because they want to tank. This is a desirable thing with Raider fans. Now, Raider fans in general have advanced stages of Stockholm Syndrome. They love to be abused and then to be turned around and told they're loved in how great Raider Nation is and all this other BS. When the truth is, Raider fans are beyond clueless. They're video game fans. They're playing Madden. They're playing Madden and they're designing a franchise that they think would win. Shedeur Sanders, did you even see him this weekend? I think it was beautiful the way he was getting his ass kicked. He pushed a referee. Oh, that's someone you want on your team. That's someone you want to draft. Someone that immature, emotionally immature. You definitely want someone who's pushing referees and crying like crazy because he stood there like a statue for a highlight reel, basically, and threw the ball without protecting himself. And look at the crybabies on X, crying about how Shedeur got hit below the knees. Oh, hitting the knees. Imagine that. Imagine the Raiders having a quarterback that got hit in the knees. Let's see. The Raiders' best quarterbacks ever got hit in the knees. The ones that ever won anything got hit in the knees. Jim Plunkett, ask him about his knees. And he went number 1 overall, by the way. You can't ask Kenny Stabler because he's dead. But you can ask Jim Plunkett. That would be a good thing because he had knee problems. I remember that. He used to stand in there. He was a big quarterback. And like these little skinny ones like Jaden Daniels and those 2 other ones that look the same with the do-rag hair. And yeah, that's who you want. These little privileged, skinny, I don't even know what they are. They look like Islanders. To me, they look like the Islanders in my city. And they act the same way. They're uppity. They're always making these gang signs. Yeah, that's a good way to build your franchise. But the Raiders lost, and they improved in their draft position. That's what people say. They improved. They actually got worse. Because the further up in the draft you draft, it means your team sucks beyond comprehension. And the theme for today, and the question is, should the Raiders try? Because it's not in their decision. They don't make the decision. Should they try to lure Daniel Jones to the Raiders? Keep in mind, if you watched yesterday with any sort of objectivity and watch some of those passes, forget about Ridder. Ridder Ritter does not belong in the NFL. He's lost. I know he's not been on the team that long and had that many reps, but still, he is not an NFL quarterback. He is a practice quarterback. But just take Minshew. Minshew is a quarterback. But he's a quarterback with limited skill set. And there were times where he was throwing the ball to the receiver and it was late. It was too late. There was no anticipation. You see some of that with Aiden O'Connell. He's better at that. He's got a better arm. And I guess we're going to see that on Friday. But should the Raiders see Daniel Jones on Friday? Should he be the quarterback? Should they try to sign him? I say try because there's other teams. He's already specified that he wants to go to a winner. He wants to go to a playoff team. Be a backup. He's not saying I want to replace the starter there. He's saying he wants to be a backup on a playoff team. There are a lot of teams that will sign him because it's not a big deal. They're not signing him to a $40 million contract. He is paid. He has got a fat bank account. He doesn't need any more money. He does not want to play with a loser anymore. And there are opportunities to play as a backup on some of these teams where, I mean, just look at the 49ers. Remember in the Super Bowl, they lost all their quarterbacks. But the Raiders could definitely benefit by having Daniel Jones because you got to find some things out about your team. What's really wrong with it? I personally think the Raiders have a lot of talent on offense. The running back position, I don't think is that good as far as like the skill set, the speed, just the power, the pass catching. But they don't have anyone throwing them throwing the ball either. Well, in running and throwing, passing and rushing go hand in hand. They complement each other. And when you have a weak arm quarterback, defenses stack the box because they don't respect you. Gardner Minshew cannot throw that well. Even though there were at least a couple plays yesterday, the announcers really didn't make too much of a deal out of it, but Patrick Surtain was all over Brock Bowers. He was on his back. He should have been called for at least 2 penalties, include one in the end zone. But, one thing that happened that allowed him to jump on Bowers' back, because Minshew did not gun the ball in there. I guarantee Brock Bowers wants that ball humming towards him. He catches with his hands. He has great, hand and eye coordination. He wants that ball fast. The times where he drops the passes, it's because he needs to get it beforehand. It's late. Now, I'm not saying Daniel Jones has got a cannon. He's not Josh Allen. Does not have that. He's not Derek Carr. Derek Carr, it's not as strong as Josh Allen, but it's up there. It's one of the strongest arms. Where the ball is extremely, or the motion of the arm, Derek Carr was always like extremely efficient or proficient in the, just the actual style of his throwing motion. It was not like Minshew is just an unorthodox way of throwing the ball. There's been other ones that have a very unorthodox way of throwing the ball, but like a Derek Carr would it's just it's a perfect motion. It doesn't waste any energy. It's effortless, and the ball is humming. Now, I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is that. He's not Josh Allen, and he's not running around like Patrick Mahomes, and he's not as big as Josh Allen. He's pretty big, and he will run the ball. But I do think he would get the ball to Brock Bowers much quicker. And Brock Bowers is the best player on the Raiders right now. I know Max Crosby was. Max Crosby needs help on a defensive line. He's not really getting it. He never stops hustling. He never does that. But I'm just saying Brock Bowers is... If the people ever get to see a better quarterback throwing to him, they're going to see... they're going to see something that is going to shock them. When the Raiders can actually have a functional offense, and what I mean by that is a balanced offense where the defense has to respect the run, they have to respect the pass, and they have to respect that quarterback. If they have that, Brock Bowers is going to have certain situations in the game where he is going to turn into another Jerry Rice. Or what was that other wide receiver that San Francisco had? Not Taylor, the other one, the loudmouth guy. Remember he went to the Eagles at one point. But he was an explosive wide receiver. I'm not comparing personalities. Brock Bowers is all business. I call him the Terminator for a reason. He's just all business. And I'm telling you, there'll be at least 2 to 3 or more opportunities a game to unleash him. But he's going to be running in space. And those safeties are not going to stop him when he's in motion. And it behooves the Raiders to look into that right now. Do you want to wait all the way to the draft to draft some quarterback and hinge your whole future on this unknown quarterback? You also have, which I've pointed out before, you have a head coach still that you say you're going to be keeping next year. Who's the offensive coordinator? You cannot bring in anyone of any sort of quality or desirability by other teams like you think you're going to. And why would those people leave good organizations and come to the dysfunctional Raiders to sign a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract, whatever it might be? Because he's going to be connected with the stupid head coach. The Raiders have regressed. This looks like an Al Davis type of setup right now, where you have a defensive coordinator that's a holdover, and you have other people who are holdovers from the previous coaching staff. You don't have like a clean slate, and there's no real organization, and there's no accountability. You're not going to get anyone to come into the Raiders, so you're going to draft some rookie quarterback, and who's going to guide this one along? And if you're going to say Norv Turner or his son, okay, show me how many quarterbacks they've developed. I want to hear about them. I want to hear about these quarterbacks and how they developed. Was Norv Turner the quarterback when Philip Rivers was there? Well, I don't think there's any Philip Rivers in this draft. If you think that those quarterbacks are Philip Rivers types, like mature, men, men, not boys. You're in for a rude awakening, or your perception of what a man is and what a boy is completely distorted. It's worse than pronouns. There's no one in the draft that is going to be a mature, chiseled quarterback. They're all going to be these, for the most part, extremely green recruits. There is no finished products. And so you're going to have a problem right there. You don't want to be drafted this high. It's not good. You'd rather have a quarterback right now. If you were to sign Daniel Jones, if he were to sign with the Raiders, because it's up to him. He's a free agent. It's not a lot of money unless they're going to sign him right now to a huge contract, which I don't think would happen. It's for the rest of the season. It's a 1-year deal or half a year deal. They can afford it. Does he want it? Because wouldn't you want to find out right now if this offense can even work with a better quarterback? Because he would be a significant improvement of the Raiders' other quarterbacks this year. And if you think he isn't, you haven't been watching how bad the quarterback play has been. But even if he is, what do you get to lose? Afraid he's going to win a few games? They're going to fall out of the running? Because there's a lot of 3-win teams. A lot. Looks like 3 wins or less teams. 2 or 3 win teams. There's 8 of them. Or is it some ties? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. 8, and then there's some 4-win teams. It's quite possible the Raiders could win a couple games and be picking middle of the pack in the teens. I'm telling you, the Shedeur Sanders is not the pick. And based on what the Raiders do today is going to tell you a lot about tanking, because I think they are tanking. Some of the play calling yesterday was, to me, suggesting they were tanking. There were times when, it looked like they were running the ball better, and they should have ran it more. Instead, they gave the ball back too often. They were down how many cornerbacks? How many defensive backs they were down? And had other injuries? I think they should have run the ball more. I think Dylan Labe could have got some carries. Let's see him, if he cannot fumble. Let's see him not fumble. Why not? But we didn't. I know what people are thinking. They're thinking, Giants will win a game. I watched the Giants game yesterday, a lot of it. And, Danny DeVito, whatever his name is, their quarterback, Raiders faced him last year, and he was hot trash. It's one of those games the Raiders won, because the quarterback was even worse than their quarterback. In Jacksonville, they're not going to pick a quarterback, but do they want to go down? Because they have their choice of picking whoever they want. Whatever their needs are, I don't know, but the best player available is better players than the quarterbacks in this draft. And New England just picked someone, and they're right behind the Raiders. So and there's other ones. I mean, you're gonna sit there and say Carolina is picking a quarterback. Is Tennessee picking a quarterback? The Jets is right. I mean, all these teams. There's a bunch of teams in the top 10, if you will, or whatever, that are probably picking a quarterback. In fact, if you just take the 10, it's quite possible 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 10 could be picking a quarterback at some point. I don't know. I mean, is Carolina giving up on their quarterback? I don't think the New England's giving up on their quarterback, and I think he just needs some more help. And he's got a big arm, and I think he's much better than a lot of people give him credit for. I think the New England is that's a bad situation. The team is not put together. It's been falling apart for a number of years now. The Giants are a bad situation, but they're going to lose out. If you want to get the number 1 overall pick, we'll get above the Giants. I mean, you're going to have to pick. You're going to have to trade with Jacksonville. Fine, but I think Jacksonville is going to win another game. I mean, this could go all over the place, but the Giants are probably losing every game. Anything can happen in the NFL. I mean, when they were tanking for Tua, remember that? At the end of that year, Miami started winning. They still got Tua, and the Chargers got Herbert. And that was the question, who's going to pick who? But I'm telling you, these quarterbacks right now coming out, they don't look too good. I was watching some of the highlights. They're very green. And the Raiders are not exactly a good situation. They're not a quarterback away. There have been other teams that were set up like that. It was years ago, the Chiefs. The Chiefs were, I think it was this Alex Smith or whatever. I think he was injured, and the Chiefs had a bad year. Then they traded up for Mahomes or something like that. Whatever it might have been. And that is a different situation. There was another year with Dallas where they got Micah Parsons, whatever, not quarterback, but a top player when they were a good team at the time, but, they had one bad year the year before because I think a quarterback injury or something. But those teams can bounce back if they have a good foundation. If a player goes to a good team because they just had a bad year because maybe their quarterback went down for the year or something like that, yeah, they can bounce right back. Raiders aren't bouncing back that fast. And they're a hot mess. And they're going to lose some free agents, I guarantee. But you get the ability to test a quarterback out right now. They don't allow you to test them out, the free agents. You have to go by, their resume or what they did the year before, or pretty much your imagination, what they can do on your team. You could test him on the team right now. You could see, does he have any sort of, a connection with Brock Bowers, with Trey Tucker, with Jacoby Myers. I'm telling you, those three those three people right there, I think, are good receivers. And I think if there's a quarterback who comes in here and actually gets those people the ball, not just throws it up for grabs, not underthrows them, gets them the ball, the Raiders' running game is going to improve. I don't care who they put back there. And I say kick the tires with them. I'm saying Raiders have nothing to lose. If you are drafting quarterbacks, it is a extremely the chances of landing a quarterback when you're drafting the top 5 are slim and next to nil. No one ever does. Most of the quarterbacks drafted in the top 5 will fail. Look it up. And don't forget Jamarcus Russell. Never forget Jamarcus Russell. So I say I would try to get Daniel Jones. I don't think it'll happen. I think he'll sign with San Francisco.